Hi guys, this is Damaris, and I want to welcome you to part 3 of coloring the saturated canary sweater socks fairy image. You can find the links to parts 1 and 2 below where I shared how I colored her skin, her dress, the wings, and her socks. In this video, I'll be coloring her hair. Right on the screen, you can see the markers that I used for this part. Um, you can tell that the dress straps have been colored in. In the previous video, I mentioned that I had left them out, so I went ahead and I colored those in. And starting with my mid-tone color, which is R85, you just saw it on the screen, I began to color what I like to call the core of her hair, which is the center, the roots, the parts that are the most darkest or deepest or have the deepest shadows in them. And um, I'm just going along the lines of her hair that's already been drawn in by the artist. I think midway I switch it up and I go a little bit more pinkish with the R87, which is fun because they're both in the same like color family. Not really, but they're very similar. So you'll see that soon. I'm just going along the lines. It's pretty simple and basic, this part. Here I pulled out R37 and it's less pink and more red, but it's still a very rich like a wine color. And I'm going over the same sections and now I'm adding a few more streaks to her hair where there's white space. And now this is R85, no, R81. So I'm bringing in that light pink. I'm going on the other side of her hair and just following the lines that have already been drawn out there for you. And like I said, you can also add your own. As you'll see later on, I will add a few extra streaks to the top of her hair. And I apologize in advance because later on in the video there's going to be a section where it's off camera and it might even start here. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm still developing the right angle for myself to color. And so this was my first take at it, and it was a little off camera on this last section. So I do apologize for that. Here I am. I'm just going along the lines, following all the swirls and the curls, trying not to get too much into the white space because I do want some highlighting, and leaving those spaces white for now will help me achieve that. Because if you start out, for me, if I start out with the light color, which in my case, right, with this combo would be R81, if I start with R81, I will completely cover the white with R81 and then go in with the mid-tone and then go in with the dark tone, and I'll lose that highlight that I like to have, that white highlight. I will lose it. So I like to start with a middle or deep color first to kind of give me a guideline of where I want my darkness to come from, my deep shadows. And then I'll go in a little lighter and then a little lighter and I'll blend everything out. And here I go again. I'm off the camera. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm just following the dark lines that I created. I'm following them with the R85 now. And I'm blending that R37 with R85. Going all around the swirls, kind of coloring a few of the white spaces. Here I am off camera again. I apologize, you guys. I wasn't able to cut out these sections of the video so it could be a one steady shot. But next time, I promise you guys I will be better. I promise. So now I'm taking our 89, which is an even deeper dark burgundy-ish, reddish, and going again to that line that I first created, and I lose you here, but I come back a little bit later. I'm just going along the lines. I'm following the lines that are already there and darkening them up even more so that when I do add the light color, there'll be a really big contrast from dark to light. And here I think this is where I start creating more streaks in her hair, more folds in her hair. And I'm off camera a little here, but we'll see a little later on. That deepness from the twirl of her braid. I couldn't figure out if it was a braid or if it was just like a loose twirl. It's probably a little bit of both, but I treated it like if it were a braid and made sure that the center part of the braid was the darkest with that R89. And even then I go back in with an even deeper color and color in the darkest parts with V99, which is a really dark it's a violet color, but it's more like a very dark grape, like almost black. It's really nice. Here I'm going in with our let's get this right, R37, which is that like fuchsia pink, hot pink, and I'm going in those white pinkish spaces, and I'm just adding little streaks of pink in there to be like the middle ground from the really light R81 to the really dark R89. And I'm just adding some extra. Here I go, adding a little extra strands at the top of her hair. I'm sorry that this is off camera, but it'll come back really soon. And there you see that I've just added a few lines at the top there, and I filled in that space at the top of her hairline, and I added some streaks in there, coloring down the lines, just basically following the lines and adding each color in layers so that you can see the roots are really dark. And now here I am with the V99, and I start out at her roots at the top of her head and going only on the sections where I think would be really dark shadowing in her hair, like in between her braid and in between some curls, behind her ear, areas like that where no light would be hitting her hair. There's that little twirl curl. in the center of the braid. Behind the strands of her hair, all the way to the bottom. Can't forget the bottom. Behind her ear. There's one little strand that I forgot to color on the side, but I ended up finding that little piece and coloring it in. So here I'm adding some V99 to her eyes. I wanted it to look even more smoky. And again, going into her hairline, touching up her lips. This is where I do some touch ups. And I find that there's this section on one of her socks that I hadn't colored. Later on, you'll see. Here's the extra fine Sharpie white pen that I use to add um, some highlights to clothing and shoes and freckles. And I'm just basically creating on her head a little like a jewelry headpiece. So I'm just adding that to her hairline and creating it with just adding some dots, some white dots. And they kind of, as much as I try to um, spend a little extra dollar on a better marker, a white marker, it still blends in. You can see that the white is fading into the color of her hair. So it's kind of the white should be white, but it's getting pink. But later on, I go in with the Copic marker brand of white gel, which what everyone calls it is liquid gold. And I go in with a little embossing tool and I add white to that to make it even brighter. You'll see later on in a photo. At the end of the video, I'll show you the finished product. And I keep going down her hairline to show the jewels, touching up some of the white that have turned pink. They're turning pink because of the Copic is coming through. Maybe I should have waited till it dried a little bit. I think that would help. I will try that next time. Once you use this marker, you shouldn't try to color over it because it will damage your nibs on your markers, on your Copic markers. So I wouldn't suggest using you should do this part after you finish coloring everything completely and you won't need to use your markers. I finish her little sock and then I get a little screenshot of her faced up. And that's it. That's the end of her hair. Really pretty, really sultry. And this is the card that I created with the image. I used a few dyes and the collection is by Echo Park. There'll be more information on my blog if you're interested. I'll leave the blog link below. Here's a little close up of her. Around the edges, I also added some darkness, some background shadowing. And I guess I could show you in another video how I do that. So this is it, you guys. That's the end of part 3. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below and I will try my best to get back to you. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye, guys.